everybody, welcome back to another episode of Am I a Bridezilla? I wanted to start off this episode by giving a huge shout out to Maggie, who has done her darndest to get me a gift that I think you will all appreciate. It's a Bridezilla! Thank you, Maggie. Am I the a-hole for kicking a girl I didn't know out of my wedding? Court is in session. My husband and I, both 27, got married a few weeks ago, and he obviously is still upset about it, but I don't think I was wrong, so I thought I would ask here. We only gave +1s to married couples or if we knew the significant other well. My husband has one childhood friend that was coming out of state to attend. I met him a bunch, but only his girlfriend of 3 years a few times because of the distance. I didn't want to give him a +1, but my husband begged since he was traveling and didn't know anyone else at the wedding, and he didn't want him to be uncomfortable or have to travel alone. I said fine, just to make him happy. Flash forward to the reception, I see him with some girl I've never seen before. I asked husband what's up, and he told me that his friend and his girlfriend broke up a few days before the wedding, and since she already RSVP'd as 2, he brought a friend with him. Okay. I was pissed since I made an exception for him, and I didn't want anyone random at my wedding. I had one of my bridesmaids go to him and tell him he could stay, but his date, please go back to the hotel. This is a private event. Oh, dude, seriously? He said okay and didn't make a fuss about it, but he left with her and didn't come back.
Okay, I see where this is going.
I thought everything was fine and had a great night. My husband found out about it the next day and we got in an argument. He's mad because his friend traveled and I kicked him out without talking to him. I didn't kick him out, just his date. Yeah, like, duh. They came all the way there to go to your wedding. It's not like there wasn't like a plate of food there. He just replaced someone that was already gonna be there. It didn't really cost you anything. Now it's a few weeks later. My husband still brings it up from time to time and his friend hasn't been answering his texts. I kind of feel bad, but it was my wedding and I didn't want any strangers there. You know what? It wasn't just your wedding, my dear.
Hello there.
It's also your husband's wedding. I think brides need to get over the fact that it's not just your day. It is also your husband's day. There's 2 people getting married. Unless you're marrying a, like, ghost or something. There's 2 people in a marriage. There's 2 people that are getting married. You should have just let her stay. I can understand you being annoyed. You have the right to be annoyed. You didn't have the right to kick out his date without talking to her husband first. Am I wrong about this? I wasn't allowed to go to a wedding recently because, you know, the bride didn't really know me that well. Whatever. It's fine. It was an expensive wedding. I understand that they didn't want to create, you know, another plate. It was expensive for every single person to be there. Weddings aren't cheap. Every person you add is like a couple $100 at least. But like, you had already paid for it. And I think it should be a general rule of thumb that if you are having a wedding and people are coming in from out of town, you should let them bring someone. Also, just to note, your husband has one childhood friend. That's it? 1. I think he's allowed to like bring a couple people, you know what I mean? But let's see what Reddit had to say.
That was a long night. But I do love Christmas morning. Hot. Good cocoa. Rudolph, what did you get for secret me?
Petty sweatsuit.
Oh, you're a petty bitch then, aren't you?
I'm a petty bitch.
You're a petty little bitch.
Petty bitch.
Petty little bitch.
Petty little bitch.
Yeah! Yes! Saint Nick's feeling a little petty.
Go Santa! Go Santa!
You know I'm keeping this, right? Have a very petty Christmas. Go to shop.charlottedobre.net.
You're the a-hole. What's the actual harm of this person being there at this point? And he had a +1, and it's unlikely he knew you gave him a dispensation on your special day. This comes off as power hungry and controlling. You responded to perceived rudeness with the ultimate rudeness. You kicked someone out, which, come on, you knew her date was going to follow, so you booted your husband's friend. You are a ginormous a-hole. And she did it sneakily behind her husband's back because she knew he would object. Definitely not trustworthy. What I'm saying, why didn't you just have a conversation with him? There's a part of me that doesn't really understand people being super picky about who they want at their wedding. Like, obviously you don't want everybody to just show up and drink all your alcohol and stuff, but like, realistically, you're probably not even gonna see that person at all. Like, you're gonna have one conversation with them tops. What does it matter if they're there or not? You're just excluding people for no reason now.
Get out.
She sent her bridesmaid to do it. Oh, interesting. A wedding is the last place you want to be alone after just breaking up with someone. That is a good point. I didn't register that. The guy just broke up with someone. At this point, the meal was paid for. The invitations had been sent. Shouldn't the bride be focusing on her partner and having a great evening instead of policing the guests? I'm gonna call
the police.
Well, you would think that, but it seems like this is a party to celebrate her and not her marriage. He had to beg her to allow his friend to have a +1. She has massive control issues. Beg her. If he wasn't having second thoughts before, he is now. All right, off of Reddit. This might be unpopular, but I'm leaning to not the a-hole. OP stated that the invite addressed both them by name. Unless you get permission or it's an open-ended +1, you don't bring anyone else to a wedding that's not yours. Or am I just crazy? I didn't fully read it. Well, you probably should. It's a tough one. Obviously, I can understand people bringing people that aren't invited to your wedding, and it's a little bit rude, which is why I said that she had the right to be annoyed about that. But like, come on. Who cares? It's a party. You're supposed to be having fun. OP sucks for being rude and kicking her out after they traveled so far, but hubby already knew how badly she wanted this to only be people she was familiar with, and he ignored that. Good point. Then didn't tell her about it until the wedding was happening. I know, but it's still like at that point, like, who cares? You're the a-hole. The girl didn't wear white, wasn't a drunken mess, wasn't some age-old affair partner. Nothing suggested she did anything wrong but fill in a +1 spot for the friend. I wholeheartedly agree. If she had been being rude, if she had been, disorderly or whatever, then that's a reason to kick her out. I can understand cutting people off and not wanting a bunch of people you don't know because you don't know how those people are gonna act. But if they're not doing anything wrong, what does it matter if they're there? Reddit has dubbed this person not the a-hole. However, mob mentality sometimes rules on Reddit, and there are a lot of people who say that everybody's kind of the a-hole in this instance. And you know what? I agree. Everyone sucks. You suck, and you were a bridezilla. Am I the a-hole for asking my bridesmaid to cut her hair for my wedding? I, mid-20s, am getting married. My fiance, late 20s, and I are paying for everything for our bridal party as we want their support without anyone getting in debt for us. As we know, not all our friends are in as good a financial position as we are. Ooh, okay. However, I'm having a problem with how much it's gonna cost to do the hair of one of my bridesmaids. The bridesmaid, Addie, has extremely long, thick hair past her knees. I don't think she has ever cut her hair. Addie's the best man's wife who also has extremely long hair. Due to the length of her hair, the hairdresser that I'm using has advised that to do her hair, it's gonna cost double due to the current length, as they will need to dedicate just one person to do Addie's hair, and it will take much longer. Another stylist will be able to do the hair of the 3 other bridesmaids in the same amount of time, okay? We had a trial, it took 50 minutes to do Addie's hair compared to the 20 minutes for each of the others. It didn't look as nice as the others due to how much hair was braided up. I don't wanna have to pay for an additional person because Addie's hair is ridiculously long. Her husband had already said he will cut his hair so he looked neat, but won't say when it's getting cut. I asked Addie to also cut her hair to at least her waist so that it's similar to my other bridesmaids. So she's never cut her hair and now you're asking her to do that so that you don't have to pay like a few extra dollars? How much is it really? It can't be that much. Like, I'm sorry, it can't. Addie was upset when I asked her to cut her hair. She told me I was being insensitive asking her to cut her hair, as I know that she doesn't cut her hair for cultural reasons. Okay, that's an interesting plot twist. You kind of left that part out. I thought this was a reasonable request. It's my wedding. Surely she wants to make me happy.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Your wedding is not as important to her as her culture. I'm just telling you that right now. Addie said it was one step too far for her, and I had already asked her not to use her rosemary hair oil as I didn't want her to smell like a woody scented hippie at the wedding. The stuff stinks, but she swears by it for her hair. Oh my God, you're controlling as hell, dude. Addie suggested she did her own hair. Well, that would have been a perfect solution. She could have figured that out herself. But I said no, as I want my bridesmaids to all look the same, and she'd look different if she did her own hair. I asked if she would pay the 200 pounds that I'm being charged extra for her hair, and she's refusing, saying they can't afford that. Addie has said that I'm being a bridezilla, but I disagree. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. It's literally hair. It's hair. What does it matter if she looks any different? Like, it's just hair. No one is going to be noticing except you. Addie has since spoken with her husband, and he's now told my fiance he won't be cutting his hair either and will be instead putting it back nicely. He wasn't happy that I was pushing her to cut her hair. Fiance isn't bothered because he just wants his friend next to him. Well, yeah, that's kind of how you should feel too. I'm upset they're not willing to do this one thing because you're controlling. You're also telling her that she smells bad. I thought I would come to Reddit to ask if I was being the a-hole just for an outsider opinion. Am I being an a-hole? I don't think I am because it's not unreasonable to ask someone to do something for my wedding. Edit. Okay, I realize I'm the a-hole. Okay. I'm gonna call Addie later and apologize for asking her to cut her hair, but ask her if she would prefer to just be a guest, as I would like to have my bridesmaids all look the same. I don't think you understand, babe. It's just hair. It's literally just hair.
I think you're splitting hairs.
Like, I cannot even believe that we're having a debate on this. Okay, I get it. I'm the a-hole, and my apology doesn't sound great. I'm gonna talk with her and revisit the idea of doing her own hair and maybe look for another style that would work better for all the different hair lengths and types my bridesmaids have. While I would like my bridesmaids to all look the same, I know it wasn't right to ask her to cut her hair or kick her out of the wedding. Well, I'm glad you know that. Don't want no stinky hippies at my wedding either.
Hippies. They want to save the earth, but all they do is smoke pot and smell bad.
I asked her to be a bridesmaid as her husband is the best man. We aren't very close, but they're a package deal, and I know he wouldn't want to walk down the aisle with anyone else. All right, update. She's apologized for asking her to cut her hair. I've offered to take her and her husband out for dinner next week as a way to apologize for my lack of judgment. Well, that's nice. Good for you. I've asked Addie if she was still open to doing her own hair. If not, I would pay the extra money. Addie said she would prefer to do her own hair, and we've agreed to do some hair trials next weekend to see if we can find a style that suits her. See, that wasn't hard, was it? We didn't have to come to the internet and ask strangers for advice on something that clearly could have been just solved with a simple conversation. Addie and I are also going for lunch in the week so that we can get to know each other better. Her husband adores her. She's a lovely person, and I should get to know her as they're a big part of my fiance's life. Thank you for opening my eyes, Reddit, for how I was being. I'm hoping I can forge a friendship with Addie and not damage my fiance's relationship with her and her husband. Wow, I don't know you at all, but I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm not even being, I am kind of being facetious. I genuinely am very proud of this person. It takes a lot to admit when someone's wrong, but I think in this case, it really wasn't that big of a deal, and it really didn't need all these outside opinions. Let's face it, we can all be an a-hole every now and again. We can. It's just in our nature. We can be petty, we can be a-holes, we can be jealous.
I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like.
And sometimes our emotions get the better of us. That's okay. What matters is that we understand that that behavior isn't okay, and that we are willing to take criticism when we act a fool. My dear, you were being a bridezilla.
You were.
See? Straight from the Zilla's mouth. But it's okay. We'll move past it, and I'm proud of you. I love a happy ending, don't you? Subscribe!